Hi, my friends. We continue our playlist. Let's translate. Это не было бесплатно. Это не было. It wasn't бесплатно. Free. It wasn't free. Это не было просто. It wasn't просто. Simple. It wasn't simple. Это не было дорого. It wasn't дорого. Expensive. It wasn't expensive. Они не боялись. Они не. They weren't. Боялись. Afraid. They weren't afraid. Это не было популярно. Это не было. It wasn't. Популярно. Popular. It wasn't popular. Он не был с ними. Он не был. He wasn't. С ними. With them. He wasn't with them. Тебе не повезло. Тебе не. You weren't. Повезло. Lucky. You weren't lucky. Я не был занят. Я не был. I wasn't. Занят. Busy. I wasn't busy. Не было жарко. Не было. It wasn't. Жарко. Hot. It wasn't hot. Они не были в этом месте вчера. Они не были. They weren't. В этом месте. In this place. Вчера. Yesterday. They weren't in this place yesterday. It wasn't free. It wasn't simple. It wasn't expensive. They weren't afraid. It wasn't popular. He wasn't with them. You weren't lucky. I wasn't busy. It wasn't hot. They weren't in this place yesterday. Ты не был прав. Ты не был. You weren't прав. Right. You weren't right. Мы не были уверены. We weren't уверены. Sure. We weren't sure. Она не была с нами. Она не была. She wasn't. С нами. With us. She wasn't. With us. Он не был сильным мальчиком. Он не был. He wasn't. Сильным мальчиком. A strong boy. He wasn't a strong boy. Мы не были там. We weren't там. There. We weren't there. Мы не были в том месте позавчера. Мы не были. We weren't. В том месте. In that place. Позавчера. The day before. Yesterday. We weren't in that place the day before yesterday. Он не был сильным. Он не был. He wasn't. Сильным. Strong. He wasn't strong. Это не было важным. Это не было. It wasn't важным. Important. It wasn't important. Я не был болен. I wasn't болен. Ill. I wasn't ill. Она не была разочарована. Она не была. She wasn't. Разочарована. Disappointed. She wasn't disappointed. You weren't right. We weren't sure. She wasn't with us. He wasn't a strong boy. We weren't there. We weren't in that place the day before yesterday. He wasn't strong. It wasn't important. I wasn't ill. She wasn't disappointed. Это не было трудно или сложно. Это не было. It wasn't. Сложно. Difficult. It wasn't difficult. Я не был разочарован. I wasn't разочарован. Disappointed. I wasn't disappointed. Это не было легко. It wasn't легко. Easy. It wasn't easy. Ты не был в этой ситуации. Ты не был. You weren't. В этой ситуации. In this situation. You weren't in this situation. Это не было дешево. It wasn't. Дешево. Cheap. It wasn't cheap. Мы не были вместе. We weren't вместе. Together. We weren't together. Я не был свободен. Я не был. I wasn't. Свободен. Free. I wasn't free. Я не был уставшим. I wasn't. Уставшим. Tired. I wasn't tired. Они не были уставшими. They weren't уставшими. Tired. They weren't tired. Она не была бедной. Она не была. She wasn't бедной. Poor. She wasn't poor. Это вовсе не было интересно. Это it вовсе не было интересно. It wasn't interesting at all. It wasn't interesting at all. It wasn't difficult. I wasn't disappointed. It wasn't easy. You weren't in this situation. It wasn't cheap. We weren't together. I wasn't free. I wasn't tied. They weren't tied. She wasn't poor. It wasn't interesting at all. Я боюсь, ты не был прав. Я боюсь. I'm afraid. Ты не был прав. You weren't right. I'm afraid you weren't right. Они не были заинтересованы в этом. Они не были. They weren't заинтересованы. Interested в этом. In it. They weren't interested in it. Он не был слабым. Он не был. He wasn't слабым. Weak. He wasn't weak. Она не была богатой. Она не была. She wasn't богатой. Rich. She wasn't rich. Не было холодно. Не было. It wasn't холодно. Cold. It wasn't cold. Он не был счастлив. Он не был. He wasn't счастлив. Happy. He wasn't happy. Не было тепло. Не было. It wasn't тепло. Warm. It wasn't warm. I'm afraid you weren't right. They weren't interested in it. He wasn't weak. She wasn't rich. It wasn't cold. He wasn't happy. It wasn't warm. My friends, thank you. We continue our playlist.